Hello YouTube, Stainless J here with another knife video. Been wanting to do this one for a while. This is the Spyderco R knife. Isn't it a beaut? The blade steel on this one is ATS 34. You have this beautifully done aluminum, what looks very fragile aluminum handle. This black coloring paint is something called All Might. I don't know if you can really appreciate it here in the video, but it doesn't really reflect a lot. It's flat and it has a waxy feeling to it. I've never really felt on any other paint or knife coating, but it does cover aluminum. It's feather light. I do not have a scale or I would give you the measurements on it. It is a lockback. You have a spidey hole, a little bit different than normal. But just look at that. It says Japan on the blade. Just a one position pocket clip. My understanding these came out in the 90s. There were different versions. Plain edge, which is what I have, and serrated. My understanding and the research that I've been able to do, it seems that there were only 1,200 of each style made. And that was in the 90s. It's already 2020, so I imagine it's kind of rare. If you can really appreciate, it's a knife that was probably not made for heavy use. And I can imagine the All Might, I just have a feeling it would rub off real quickly. The handle is aluminum. It's latticed. And I really don't imagine it taking a real beating, actually. So I suspect that not many of these have survived, and it's a collector's item. Interesting story. At the height of my knife collection, I would go by pawn shops in my area. I made it a routine, and I ran across this early on in my knife collecting. I knew the brand vaguely, but just looking at it, it seemed like something very, very special. And I just had to get it. And I got this knife for $50. This was over 10 years ago. This is really, I've carried it maybe one time with absolutely no intention of using it whatsoever. It has been sitting locked up all these years. It's just so beautiful. And the tip, Spyderco tips are notorious for snapping off. This tip is very fine, and again, I'm not sure that the camera is really going to catch it. But I just could not, I wouldn't feel right using that at all. But it is the original Spyderco R knife. There have been other R knives since that have had the laser cut blade, but on a solid handle. I think it was carbon fiber. And then another R knife that was just solid blade, solid handle. I think the materials were what made it unique. But this is just beautiful, and I do not believe this was a blade meant to be carried or used hard. It was interesting when I found it. It had the green olive drab 550 power cord. Someone had made a little loop on there. I took it off since I forgot what had happened to it. It was just kind of interesting that someone would do that on this knife, so maybe it was carried. I don't see any use whatsoever on the blade though. For size comparison, this is the Spyderco Endura. I went looking for my Delica and I just cannot find it this morning, but just to get an idea of the size, if you line up the blades a little bit better, you can kind of see that this is a little bit shorter. ATS 34, spider hole's different. You have an edge there, and well, there's an edge too on this. but it's not quite as big. You have the back. Does not have that Boyd dent. If you would look, comes straight across the back. This lock has that Boyd detent. Almost looks like I took a bite out of it right there. My understanding is that it allows you to put a real strong grip on the blade without deactivating the lock back. Interesting. I'm hoping again that this comes through in the video. You have Phillips head screws that are holding this together. Just a beautiful, beautiful piece. Again, I imagine at this time it is rare, but hope you enjoyed this video.